Okay, is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us start. We have completed the first part of Unit 1, Design Against Static Loads, right? Today we are going to start second part of Unit 2, Design Against Fluctuating Loads, right? Quarter joint and knuckle joint. It is given in the Bhandari book in the Design Against Static part, but in our syllabus it is given in the Unit 3, right? Design of joints, because it is a kind of joint, so it is given in Unit 3. So we will cover quarter joint and knuckle joint in Unit 3, right? And in examination also, it will not be asked in first two units, it will be asked in third unit, right? The weightage will be in the third unit. So make sure to prepare accordingly, so that uh, you know what to be covered and what not to be covered. So design against fluctuating loads. So what we are going to learn in this part, these are the learning objectives after at the end of this completion of this part. You should be able to understand the importance of stress concentration. The importance of stress concentration. What is stress concentration, right? What is its importance? That you should be able to understand. Determination of stress concentration factor. How the stress concentration factor is determined, right? How you can reduce the stress concentration, the techniques, right? The techniques that you can use to reduce the stress concentration factor, stress concentration in the component, and notch sensitivity factor. If there is a notch in the component, then how it will affect the design, right? Different types of fluctuating loads. What are the different types of fluctuating loads, right? Fatigue test, how the fatigue test is performed, what is difference between endurance strength and endurance limit, right? Design of machine elements subjected to fluctuating loads, how you can design the element when it is subjected to fluctuating loads, right? Soderbergh diagram, Goodman diagram, Gerber criteria. These are the three criteria which are used for designing the machine component which are subjected to fluctuating loads. Modified Goodman diagram, right? So at the end of this completion of this part of this unit, you should be able to do all these things. If you are not able to understand all these factors, all these components, then your knowledge is not sufficient. You need to re-study it, right? So at the end of these, you should check whether you know that stress concentration, how to determine it, right? How to reduce stress concentration, what are different types of fluctuating loads, endurance strength, endurance limit, and most importantly, you should be able to design the machine element that are subjected to fluctuating loads, right? And these criteria, different criteria, Soderbergh Goodman, modified Goodman, right? So what is stress concentration? So stress concentration, let us understand it in this way. Suppose there is a suppose this is a bar, right? And it is loaded. This is loaded. Tensile load is there. P tensile load is acting on this bar, right? So how to find out stress? You can find out stress using sigma equal to P by A, load divided by cross sectional area, right? Load divided by cross sectional area. And what about, suppose there is one more component, similar component, right? It is also loaded to tensile load. It is also loaded with tensile load, right? And the difference is that here you have a small hole, right? In this case you have a small hole. So how will you determine the stress in this part? In one part, this is here you have the everything is same, the geometry, cross section, everything is same. Only the difference is that in this case you have a small hole, right? In this case you have a small hole, and in earlier case there is no hole, right? This is same object, everything is same, load and all, everything is same, except there is no hole, right? There is no hole in this component, and in this component there is hole. So what equation you should use to determine the stress? Can we use sigma equal to P by A? Can we use sigma equal to P by A in this case? In the case when we have hole? Think on it. So
No, sir.
you cannot use, right? Why you cannot use? Because there is a hole. Then what we should do? How we determine the stress? How we determine the stress in this case? If we cannot use sigma equal to P by A, then how we can determine stress? Sigma equal to P by A. P is not going to change, but some people will think that we can take A area at this location, right? The minimum cross sectional area. So that is, let's say, AM. This represents the minimum cross sectional area, right? So here what we do, that we subtract the area due to this hole. Is it right? It is better, obviously better than previous approach, better than this approach. Sigma equal to P by A is not applicable, right? So here we are using minimum cross sectional area. This is obviously better than this approach, right? And the stress obtained with this consideration, this stress will be higher, right? Higher than P by A, right? So that is how you can think of determining the stress when there are holes or there are different types of discontinuity. But in reality, this is also not true. In reality, this is also not true, right? We have taken the smallest area for the calculation of stress, and now we think that this calculation is correct, right? But in reality, this is also not true. So why this is not true? This is not true due to stress concentration. Due to stress concentration. Because of this stress concentration effect, this formula is also not applicable, right? So that is what I wanted to emphasize here. This formula is not applicable when there is a hole or any kind of discontinuity, right? This formula is not applicable. The better formula could have been this P by A, minimum cross section area, but in reality it has been found that this also this also does not give you the correct value of stress. Why? Because of stress concentration, right? So so these are the basic thing. So it is not only related to tensile load, it is also related to bending load. Suppose uh, this is a beam where there is a bending moment, so you can find out stress using sigma b equal to mby by I. And similarly, if there is a shaft and you have twisting load, right? So in this case also you can find out tau, right, using this expression. This is general expression to find out stress when there is no discontinuity, right? There is no discontinuity. This is in the case of tensile or compressive. This is in the for the case of bending, and this is for the case of twisting, right? And assumption is that there are no discontinuities in the cross section of the component. These formulas are applicable only when there is no discontinuities in the cross section. No discontinuity. There is no discontinuity in the cross section. Then you can use this formula, right? Suppose there is a hole or any kind of discontinuity, right? Suppose there is a discontinuity here. This is a hole, right? The shape could be say rectangular, triangular, circular, any shape, right? Or let us say this is the shaft, and here you have keyways in the shaft. Most often keyways are there in order to mount the keys, right? So in such cases, this formula for calculating the stresses is not valid. This formula for calculating the stress is not valid. Then we try to determine the stress considering the minimum cross sectional area. We tried to determine the stress considering minimum cross sectional area. So even if we consider minimum cross sectional area, even then these formulas are will not give you the correct value of stress, right? Why? Because of stress concentration, and stress concentration occurs due to discontinuities or abrupt change in the cross sectional area. If there are abrupt change in the cross sectional area or discontinuity, then stress concentration will occur. Like look at this shaft. This is a kind of stepped shaft, right? This is a shaft. At the end the diameter is lower and there is a discontinuity, right? So what is happening is that this is here stress is getting concentrated. Stress is getting concentrated in this zone in the corner, right? So there in this corner the stresses will be higher. In this corner the stresses will be higher, right? So these fundamental equations are not valid. The fundamental equations to determine the stresses in such case are not valid. Sudden rise in magnitude of stress in the vicinity of hole or discontinuity. This is also a kind of discontinuity. If there is a bar and there is a hole at the center or anywhere, then there will be sudden rise of stress in this zone, right? In this zone. This is known as stress concentration. These are also called localized stress. Localized stress. Localized is basically only in a small region. Meaning of localized stress is that it acts only in small region, right? Suppose this is a shaft, right, and there is a load P which is acting. So the stress is uniform throughout the length and cross section, right? But suppose there is a hole, then what will happen? There will be stress concentration, and due to stress concentration in this zone the stresses will be higher. In this zone the stresses will be higher, and this zone is basically known as local zone, where the stresses are higher, and these local stresses are far greater. These local stresses are far greater, right? So let us see a few more examples. How where are these scenarios? So this is another example. So this is a similar example where we have a shaft, right? So the shaft is basically supported on the bearing, right? So bearing is used to support the shaft, and in order to mount the shaft on the bearing, the diameter is reduced at the end, and therefore there is a discontinuity in the corner, right? In the same manner, suppose there is a gear mounted on the shaft, right? So how will you mount the gear on the shaft? You have to cut a keyways in the shaft. So basically this is, suppose this is a shaft, cross section of the shaft. So what happens is that the keyway is cut, right, and a key is fitted in this keyways, and with the help of keys the gear is mounted on the shaft, right? So again because of you are creating keyways, right? So keyways again creating discontinuity. Keyways are creating discontinuity in the cross section of the shaft, and therefore you have stress concentration, right? And this is a grub screw. Sometime in order to connect some other part on the shaft, what you do is that you connect it with the help of screw, right? Screw. So if you connect with the help of screw, then again inserting in the shaft, and therefore it is creating a discontinuity in the shaft, and this discontinuity will create the localized stress, and these localized stresses are far greater than the calculated stress, right? These localized stresses are far greater than the calculated stress, right? So in practice, discontinuities or abrupt change in the cross-section area is unavoidable, right? Due to oil holes, suppose there are oil holes, grooves, keyways, splines, screw threads, shoulders. So these are basically, if such cases are there, there will be localized stresses, and any such discontinuity in a member affects the stress distribution in the neighborhood, and discontinuity acts as a stress raiser. So basically it increases the stress. The stress will increase due to this discontinuity, right? So how you can visualize it? How you can visualize it? Suppose there is a this is a plate, right? This is plate is loaded. This plate is loaded by tensile force P, right? And there is a hole. There is a hole at the center, right? So what will happen? The flow of stresses, the flow of stresses will be like this. Here we have the flow of stress. Let me use different color. This is the flow of stress, right? This is the flow of stress. Flow of stress. You can imagine it as like fluid. Fluid is flowing, right? In the same manner, the stresses is also flowing. So what will happen from here? The stress will bend, right? The stresses which are flowing from here, it will bend. In the same manner, it will bend here also. It will bend here also, right? It is like a flow of water. If you suppose this is a conduit, and in this conduit there is a obstruction at the center, then what will happen? The water will flow, and due to this flow of water, what will happen? There will be change in the direction of flow of water, and in this zone there will be more water, right? In this zone there will be the water concentration will be more. So you can also this is the analogy with the flow of water, but obviously the theories are different here only to understand how the stresses flows. So here you are getting lot of stress lines in the vicinity of hole. Near the hole you are getting lot of stress lines, and these lines are basically responsible for higher stresses. These lines are responsible for higher stresses in the near the hole, right? So that is why we take the help of stress concentration factor. We take the help of stress concentration factor, right? So now you can look at this diagram. A, this is a plate which contains a hole, right? This is a plate, and there is a hole at the center, right? So pre-body diagram has been drawn. So now you can look at this diagram. So this diagram is basically showing you the pre-body diagram of stress, right? Pre-body diagram of stress, and you can see that near the hole these are the distribution of stress. The stress is maximum. The stress is maximum near the hole, and it slowly reduces towards the end of the plate. So it is maximum near about the hole. That is known as sigma max. That is known as sigma max, right? So the stress concentration, and this is basically due to stress concentration. Here we are getting a sigma max because of stress concentration. So in order to determine sigma max, what we do is that we define stress concentration factor. So stress concentration factor is defined as localization of high stresses due to irregularities. Localization of high stresses due to irregularities present in the component or abrupt changes in the cross-sectional area, right? So Kt is basically the highest value of actual stress near discontinuity. It is talking about highest value, right? That is sigma max, and uh, divided by nominal stress obtained from elementary equation, right? So Kt is maximum stress divided by nominal stress, and if we write in the form of sigma max tau max, so this will be sigma max divided by sigma O, nominal stress. So sigma O is basically the load divided by minimum cross sectional area. Load divided by minimum cross sectional area, right? So you have to determine sigma O from the minimum cross sectional area and load, and then you have to find out sigma max, which is Kt times sigma O. K here is capital K. The stress concentration factor is denoted by Kt, and in the KTK is capital, right? So you can find out sigma max from this equation, right? You first determine sigma O from load by minimum cross-sectional area, and then multiply it by stress concentration factor, and then you get the maximum stress, right? So theoretical stress concentration factor KT is basically theoretical stress concentration factor, right? And the value of KT depends upon material and geometry of the part, material and geometry of the part, right? So how these stress concentration factor is determined? How this stress concentration factor is determined? The stress concentration factors are determined using stress concentration factors are determined. There are two methods. There are two methods to determine the stress concentration factor, right? The first is theoretical method and the second is experimental method, right? The first one is theoretical method and the second is experimental method. In first method, there are two ways to do it with the help of theory of elasticity and with the help of finite element analysis, right? So obviously this is not this is out of scope of this course. Theory of mass elasticity and finite element analysis are basically taught in postgraduate courses. During MTech program, these subjects are taught: theory of elasticity and finite element analysis. So obviously here your main aim is to remember. Main aim is to remember there are two methods to determine the stress concentration factor. The first is theoretical method, and in theoretical method there is a way to determine with the help of theory of elasticity and then with the help of finite element analysis. The second method, that is experimental method, is strain gauge method, photoelasticity method, brittle coating method and grid method. Again, these are not in your syllabus, not in course, out of scope of this course, right? So what will this here again you cannot understand this everything. The important thing is that you have to what you have to do is that you have to just know that how this is calculated, how the stress concentration factors are determined, right? Here in this course you will be determining it from the graphs given in data book, right? So experiments are performed and the graphs are plotted. Experiments are performed and the graphs are plotted. So you have to use those graphs to determine the stress concentration factor, right? So what are the causes of stress concentration? The causes of variation in the properties of material, load application, abrupt change in the cross-sectional area, discontinuity in the component, machining scratch, right? Again, all these are nothing but it is related to the irregularity in the cross-sectional area, right? Irregularity, scratches also basically a kind of irregularity, right? Discontinuity, again this is irregularity. Abrupt change is also irregularity in the cross section area, right? Load applications is basically how the load is applied and variation. Material properties variation, that is again due to defects, blowholes, and there are different defects in material, like you study casting, it has different defects, blowholes, and different defects. Due to those defects also the stress concentration occurs in the component, right? So this diagram shows you that the graph, look at this graph. This graph, this is KT, the y-axis is basically KT, and x-axis is basically, this is d by w. Here it is not visible. The x-axis is d by w. It is the ratio of d by w, and this graph is related to a particular type of loading, right? So this is the finite plate. This is finite plate, and there is a circular hole at the center. The diameter of the circular hole is d, and width of the plate is w, and it is loaded by a load p, right? And for such scenario, for such case, such special case, this graph is plotted. This graph is plotted for this special case, right? So KT, I can see that it varies from, the maximum value is 3, right? You should remember the maximum value. Maximum value is 3, and slowly it decreases, and at point 0.6 it is near about 2, 2.05 or 2.1, right? So if the geometry is like this, then you have to use this graph, right? So first of all, what you have to do is that you have to find out d by w ratio, right? And d by w ratio, let us say d by w ratio is 0.3. So d by w ratio is 0.3. So how to find out kt? You need to draw a line from here, and then keep on moving up to you when you reach at this line, stress concentration factor line, and then you draw the horizontal line from here, and then what you do, you reach at this point. So here you can say that it is 2.35. It is in between 2.3 and 2.4, so it is 2.35, right? So that is how you should determine the stress concentration factor using the graph. These graphs are given in data book. That is why you need data book to solve such kind of problem, right? And as we already discussed, you have to find out sigma nominal. Sigma nominal stress is basically load divided by minimum cross sectional area. So minimum cross sectional area is what here? W minus D. W minus D, that will give you this length, and if you multiply by thickness of the plate, then you will get the minimum cross section area, right? So now you know the value of kt, you know the value of kt, you know the value of sigma o, right? And with the help of these two values, you can find out sigma max. Sigma max, the maximum stress generated in this plate. Maximum stress generated in this plate, right? So this case is basically, here it emphasizes that it is a rectangular plate with transverse hole in tension or compression, right? It could be in tension or compression. This is equally applicable for compression also. Okay, so let us move on. In the same manner, this is a different configuration. Here in this case, you can see that the configuration is different. Here we have this is a plate where the uh, width is width gets decreases at after some time, right? Width gets decreases here, right? So here this width is d, small d, right, at the lower side, and this here capital, here we have capital D, right? So in this case also we can find out, and this is known as fillet radius r, fillet radius r. So here it is determined, the x-axis is r by d, fillet radius, right? And y-axis we have kt, It also varies between 1 to 3. You should be aware about these maximum and minimum value. This varies between 1 to 3, and the loading is tensile. Here the loading is tensile, right? And this loading is tensile. So if this kind of right, this kind of geometry is there, then you have to use this graph, right? It also depends on capital D by small d. So here you have to look at three parameters: capital D by small d, which is these lines, right? When 1.1, 1.2, 1.52, right? If it is in between, then you have to interpolate. Suppose the d by d ratio is in between, then you have to interpolate, right? R by d, R by d again, you have to look at x-axis, and then you can determine the stress concentration factor. Let us say you want to determine the stress concentration factor at point 2, and d by d ratio is 2. So what you have to do is that you have to plot a line vertically upward, and then you have to move horizontal, and then you will get stress concentration factor, which is 1.9 here. Kt is 1.9. So for such diagram you can find out Kt, and then you have to use minimum cross section area in the denominator for calculating nominal stress. Minimum cross section area, that is small d into T, and then you can find out maximum stress. Maximum stress in this case, right? In the same manner, there are more geometries, right? So here that was flat plate, and here in this case we have shaft, right? It is a shaft where the cross section is reducing. So now we have circular shaft, right? And the cross section is getting reduced, and there is a fillet, right? There is a fillet. So if such kind of scenario is there, then you have to use this diagram, this graph, for determining the value of maximum stress sigma max, right? So here again it depends on R by D, fillet radius. So fillet radius is nothing but, suppose there is a shaft, and it is getting reduced directly, then here fillet radius is obviously 0, right? Fillet radius is 0, but this is not the good practice to design it. So what is done is that it is designed like you have to create the shaft, manufacture the shaft, and at the bottom you make a radius. You don't turn it at right angle, make a radius, right? Make a radius, and then you turn it. So this is known as fillet radius. This is known as fillet radius. So instead of directly 90-degree machining it at 90-degree, what you do, you make a fillet radius here, so that it is smooth, right? And that radius is known as fillet radius, and it is represented by small r. So in this way you can determine the value of maximum stress factor. So you have to look at the case, you have to look at the geometry, what kind of geometry is there, what kind of loading is there, and depending on the geometry and load, you have to determine the stress concentration factor, and then nominal stress. In nominal stress we have to use minimum cross section area in the denominator, and then you can find out sigma max. This is again again different kind of loading. Here this is also a shaft, and this is loaded by a moment. Here it is loaded by moment, bending moment, right? So again you have to do the same thing, only the difference is that you have to find out sigma bending. You have to find out sigma bending stress, and then Kt you have to determine from this graph, and then you can calculate sigma max. Right, and then this is for twisting. So here you have a torsion, right, twisting moment, and for in the case of twisting moment you have to find out tau, which is given by mtr by j, right, and kt you can determine from r by d and d by d ratio. Using this you have to make the plot and determine the value of kt, right, and then you can find out tau max. Value of kt can never be less than 1. Value of kt can never be less than 1, right? Why? Because if this is the case, then the stress will be less than the nominal stress, right? If kt is less than 1, then tau max will be less than obviously tau. So that is how, this is the common sense that that kind of questions are asked in Viva interview, that can kt be less than 1 or objective type question. So whatever the geometry, irrespective of the geometry, some people will think that I need to see the graph to find out whether it is less than 1 or not. But it is obvious that it can never be less than 1 for any kind of loading or any kind of geometry. It can never be less than 1. Kt cannot be. K is represented by obviously capital K. So Kt cannot be less than 1, right? Whatever the loading is there or whatever the geometry is there, usually it varies between 1 to 3. Usually it varies between 1 to 3. Value of kt varies between 1 to 3 for all different types of loading and geometry, and this graph is plotted in order to determine kt, right? And these graphs, how do we get these graphs? These graphs we get after experimentation. You have to perform a lot of experiment to obtain this graph. That is one way. Other way is that you have to use theory of elasticity for analytical method, theory of elasticity, or uh, finite element analysis. Finite element analysis you can use to determine the stress concentration factor. Right. So these above charts are based on photoelastic studies, like I said, right? Experimental method. These charts are plotted based on experimental method, photoelastic studies. Under static load, ductile materials are not affected by stress concentration. See, static load, the ductile material is not affected by stress concentration. When the stress in the vicinity of discontinuity reaches the yield point, there is plastic deformation resulting in redistribution of stresses. Right? Suppose near the hole, the stress reaches near the yield point, then there will be plastic deformation. Right? Sudden deformation, and then it will reach into plastic deformation, and that stresses will also change. Kt is not used for ductile material under static loading. Kt is not used in the ductile material under static loading. The effects are more severe in case of brittle material, right? Brittle material, it is more severe in the case of brittle material. Why? Because there is no plastic deformation. It will suddenly fail. Right? Effect of Kt is more significant in brittle material. Therefore, stress concentration factors are used for components made of brittle material subjected to static loads. Right? However, when the loads are fluctuating, the endurance strength of the ductile material is greatly reduced due to stress concentration, and this account for stress concentration factor for the ductile material as well. So for ductile material, when there is static load, then we do not consider stress concentration factor, but when there is a fluctuating loads, then we have to consider the stress concentration factor for ductile material as well. For brittle material, whether irrespective of these things, brittle material will be subjected to stress concentration factor, whether the load is static or the load is fluctuating. You must consider a stress concentration factor in the for brittle material. For ductile material, static load, there is no stress concentration factor. For ductile material, fluctuating load, you have to consider the stress concentration factor, right? So let me stop here. I think time is about to happen. Do you have class after this?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me stop here. I will share this PPT on the WhatsApp, right? And the PPT of previous class also I will share. So let me download the attendance sheet and then you can leave. So let me first stop the recording. So I have stopped the recording and let me download the attendance sheet. Attendance sheet is, let me check whether it is downloaded or not. Okay, the attendance sheet is downloaded. Now you can leave.